2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this, and now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
That's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a whatever day today is, a Wednesday, halfway through the week, the pre-Friday, the post-Monday. And I think Joe Biden's probably already asleep in his basement. What do you think? He's been on the campaign trail. He's had to say a few words. He's forgotten what he said already, and now he's probably at home sleeping in his basement. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It's great to have you along for the ride today, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming on the website at HooserReason.com. You can find the live feed on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, as of course on Podbean live stream as well, and of course the podcasting thereafter. Great to have you. So much to get to today. Did you realize today, according to the Wall Street Journal, that the U.S. debt has exceeded the size of the entire economy for the whole year? Yeah. Now, that is, of course, what the Democrats will say is, that's under Donald Trump's administration. So we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. It's important. Oh, don't get me wrong. It's not like it's not important. It's something that we should focus on. Maybe that should be a campaign message that we need to get across for the Republicans going into the general election, because we're not about increasing the size of the debt. But how much of that is Donald Trump's fault versus, a $3 trillion bailout during COVID-19, where we have around like 10,000 deaths actually related to COVID-19, which we talked about a few days ago. But I want to shift gears for just a second. As we talk about the general election, what's going to be the important factors getting us through the general election to drive people to the polls? I have to admit, I am the campaign manager for one of the local state representatives here in the Wichita area. And let me tell you, knocking on the doors the last 2 days already, and we're going out again tonight, the last 2 days, just the first 2 days, I have seen more activism. I've seen more engaged individuals. I have seen more American flags. I have seen more Trump flags. I have seen more Trump signs than I have ever seen campaigning for a candidate before. These individuals, now it may just be the districts and the precincts that I'm going to, but we've already hit 2 or 3 precincts, and guess what? There are some really excited individuals Usually in the past, we've talked to individuals and they're like, okay, yeah, thanks. We're handing out the flyers and hey, remember to go vote in November. Oh, yeah, okay, thanks. And then they go about their business. I've seen more people stop and talk to us, ask questions, say, boy, we got to keep those Republicans in there. Boy, we got to keep Donald Trump in there. I've seen more excited people getting ready for the election than I think I've ever seen already, and it's only 2 days into campaigning. I've never seen this before. The excitement, the energy. There is a poll that came out, which they say this poll has been accurate 24 out of the 26 last elections for president. They came out with a poll, and they showed Donald Trump walking away with a landslide with only Democrats winning like 5 or 6 states in the entire nation. Walking away with a landslide over 300 electoral college votes. When you need what, like 270? The energy from the right I have never seen before. Now, whether it's coming off the Republican National Convention or what have you, I don't really know, but kudos, and let's keep that momentum going. And to talk about some of that and more, I'm excited to have him back on the program. He is a fellow alum from Bowling Green State University in the great state of Ohio. He is also the author of Bellwether Blues, a conservative awakening of the millennial soul. It's Mr. Jonathan Jakubowski hanging out with us here on the show. John, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Andy. How you doing, man?
I am doing great. It's good to talk to you again. It's been a little bit since we've had you on the program. How are things going? How's the book going right now? You getting some good response for this?
Yeah, I am. I've seen a tremendous response. I've probably been on close to 60 interviews over the last couple of months, and it continues to grow. There's a lot of people interested in the empirical evidence and some of the findings. So it's gone off the charts, well beyond what I could have expected.
Well done. Well, congratulations on that. That's fantastic. It's exactly what we need to get this message out, especially for the millennials, the awakening of that millennial soul, which we talked about last time. And I want to touch on it again today because, again, like I said, I mean, going out campaigning, talking to people, I've never seen this much excitement from all range and age groups, by the way, too, from elder individuals to young individuals out working on their vehicles, having a good time with their kids. The excitement for people to want to go out and vote, I think, is at an all-time peak. Have you seen the same thing in your area?
Yeah, I have, and this is a really important data point, Andy. It's not just anecdotal evidence. What I can tell you is in 2016, we saw all the polls. I was volunteering in the Wood County Republican Party. Now I'm chairman here. And one of the things we saw was a record number of sign requests in Wood County. And as you'll remember, Andy, and I'll remind your listeners and viewers here, Wood County is one of the handful of swing counties in the entire nation that voted twice for Bush, twice for Obama, then for Trump. So we saw something happening, and when the papers would come and ask us what's our prediction, we said, well, we see the polls, so that kind of bothers us. But I'm telling you, we're getting all of these sign requests. Well, the good news in 2020, Andy, is so far we're outpacing by a significant margin the sign requests that we had at this point in the 2016 campaign.
That's wonderful news. Now, we have to remind listeners as well that may not know that area of Ohio is that it also is a college community as well. So I'm sure, which is why it's partly a swing area, because it's usually rural, pretty much agriculture community in that part. But with the college town, really kind of balances things out a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's 4 demographic factors that I identify in Bellwether Blues that define why Wood County swings. And one of those is certainly the university presence, to your point, and experience. And the second is that rural agricultural perimeter. The third and fourth are the suburban families that are in the northern part of the county into the central part of the county. So a lot of soccer moms and millennial families that are growing. And then the final one that really made Wood County swing in 2016 was our blue-collar vote. We have a pretty significant presence of union workers on the perimeter of the county.
So it's kind of a perfect balance for you to be able to kind of get a taste of all the different demographics on what's important for a lot of voters. And I was not aware, first off, that you were the chair for the county party, so congrats on that one. Going out, talking to people and hearing from a lot of constituents and voters, what is the major issue right now that's driving them to the polls? Is it the debt? Is it the virus? Is it Second Amendment issues? I mean, what's been kind of the top tiers right now?
Well, without a doubt, it's the violence. It's the violence in Kenosha. It's the violence in Portland. It's the violence in Seattle. It's the concerns about rule of law. It's the political games that these leaders are playing who have sworn to uphold their constitutions and aren't doing it. That is issue number one when we talk to people that come in and say, I'm tired of it, I need to get in, or I didn't vote for Trump in 2016 because I didn't like his personality, but I'm seeing what they're doing and now I need to change my vote.
That's really good to hear. I love it. Now let's talk about the general election with the response after the announcement of Kamala Harris onto the Joe Biden ticket. We're starting to move forward. There's rumor, and Nancy Pelosi's been encouraging Joe Biden to do this as well, to drop out of the presidential debates. We don't want to debate with someone like Trump. We can't dialogue and debate and discuss with someone like President Donald Trump. I don't know about you, but if I were a voter, which I am, I would want to hear the differences, even though we know it may be somewhat of a circus between the two, with Donald Trump that likes to incite a little bit of excitement from people, and Joe Biden, who will probably fall asleep in the middle of it. At some point, I think it would be entertainment value, but at the same time, I want to hear them talk about the issues and hear what they have to say. Why would we not go into a debate this election?
Well, I think the Biden campaign's in between a rock and a hard place. I mean, for the precise reason that you've cited. I looked at, I think July, I saw this data that came out, and I think Biden answered like 9 questions during the entire month of July, non-scripted questions, whereas Trump answered like hundreds or up into the thousands. So they've kept him very, very cornered in his basement, and the only reason he's out of his basement is because he sees that the violence issues are requiring a physical presence and a demonstration that, and we're not going to stand for this. There needs to be rule of law, but I think it's too little, too late. He came out way too late, and finally, after seeing the polls going in the wrong direction, finally came out and said, "Well, I don't agree with the violence." But then again, it's only Trump supporters. So I think that there's a lot there to consider, and I think that that's why they're having such a major struggle between whether or not they debate or not.
It's sad. It's sad. And then, of course, when we announced Kamala Harris as the running mate with Joe Biden, now she's kind of taken the lead. We've seen he can't really do an interview without her by his side, just in case he messes up. She can jump in or kind of take over. The last week of the Republican National Convention on Thursday, when there was the big riots going on in Wisconsin, she had to make the press conference rather than him. So we're seeing kind of the transition of the face of the party, which, by the way, isn't working well for them. I mean, she had a 2 to 3% approval rating when she ran for president herself. She was supposed to get the minority vote, which between when she got announced, actually their minority vote support dropped by about 10%. It gained on Trump. Then Trump saw a 60% boost from minority voters after the Republican National Convention. So I don't know what they can do, but do you think that they're going to be able to regain that minority vote that they're so desperate to get?
Well, I think it's going to be hard because I don't think that Kamala Harris is the candidate that the minority communities necessarily prefer or embrace. I think they've seen the way that she has handled justice issues specifically. While she's been great at talk in the Senate on being a part of this minority solution, there's little action behind it, whereas there's a president who has been called racist so many times. And then you go to the RNC and you look at these amazing stories of people like Herschel Walker and Ann Dorn, and he puts face and meat to these policies that he has stood behind that are making an impact in people's lives, and in these specific cases, in the lives of minorities. And that resonated deeply within the minority communities, as you mentioned, by polling.
Yeah. No, it really did. We're talking with Jonathan Jakubowski, also author of the book Bellwether Blues, A Conservative Awakening of the Millennial Soul. Let's talk about the millennials for just a second with this. Apparently, on the left side of the aisle, all they care about is the identity politics. They wanted to choose a woman. They wanted to choose a woman of color because that was going to boost the woman vote, the woman demographic, along with the minority demographic. Obviously, it didn't work because of what we just talked about. The millennials, is that really for those that we're talking about, with those that are on the other side of the aisle that are more the radical ones, maybe out protesting or riding out in the streets? Do they care at all about the quote-unquote propaganda that came out of the RNC? Do they see those success stories and say, wow, maybe the world's not as terrible as what we have viewed the world? Or do they just not care, and that their agenda is we're just going to burn down these streets and continue to support Joe Biden because it's just the opposite of Trump?
Yeah, well, as you know, stereotypes are general truths about a culture and a society. So there's a lot of truths about the stereotypes that exist about millennials, but those stereotypes exist about millennials primarily on the coast. So those coastal millennials, I don't think are going to be impacted by anything that is presented either by the president or by the conservative base or by anybody kind of in the middle. They have a radical left of center agenda that's Marxist in theory, and they're wanting to bring it about. They want to abolish America. You hear them crying death to America in the streets. They hate America for what it is. So that's a real thing, and we recognize that. The reason I came into Bellwether Blues was really to analyze whether or not all the millennials would like this. You know, being a millennial myself and knowing people like you, Andy, I knew that there was more of us out here that don't have that vision for America, and I wanted to see what the data was. So as I looked deep into it, what I found is that in mainland America, in the states that are going to decide this pivotal 2020 election, and thankfully we still have an electoral college, states like Ohio and states like Arizona and North Carolina and Georgia, the millennials in these places are very different from the millennials in Portland and in Seattle and in New York. And these millennials who have a different foundation and a different history don't have that same worldview. And those are the millennials that are being moved by seeing the violence, seeing the hatred, seeing the animus, And that's where I think these RNC stories, the testimonies, the people that really gave a face to the policies, that's the millennials who that message resonated with.
It's really encouraging, and you really give me some hope for the generation like you did last time, too, because every time, I guess it's just the ones that focus on the media or that get their attention from the media or actually get into the media altogether are the ones that we hear about that are out and protesting, but that's only an isolated, it sounds like, case, I think, with a lot of these crazy guys in the millennial generation, because if they're seeing this, at least you and I can attest to this, that we see this and we say, wow, I would never act that way, and I would never actually want to go out and harm the country or harm my city that way, because I don't see how burning down buildings is actually going to help my cause in any way, shape, or form. We got to take a break here real quick. We're talking with Jonathan Jakubowski, Bellwether Blues. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the other policy issues that will be driving millennials to the polls. Could it be the debt? Could it be social media? Could it be some of the regulations? All that and more. We'll do that when we come back. It's a Wednesday here on The Voice of Reason. We have so much to get to. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on The Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, you are. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. Thanks for hanging out, no matter where you may be. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, doesn't matter. Appreciate you very much. All over the board here on a Wednesday on the Voice of Reason, talking with Jonathan Jakubowski, Bellwether Blues, a conservative awakening of the millennial soul. We got a few minutes left with him, which not only is he an awesome author, solid conservative, also representing from the BGSU, Bowling Green State University, my alum as well. I guess you can call it alum. I didn't graduate, but I was still there for a couple of years, and I was able to check out all the bars and stuff. That was about my excitement. Which, by the way, John, I got to ask you, when I was there, Bowling Green was labeled as one of the most liberal colleges in the state. Is it still that way, or have we maybe changed the narrative there just a little bit?
No, I think it's pretty much the same. I think the label holds. Unfortunately, this is a theme that's too common throughout America. We need some massive reform in education, and Bowling Green is not the exception there.
Not the exception on that front. Good. Let's talk about the millennials, not the ones that are out burning the streets down, because you can't reason with them. They don't really care. They just want to burn the streets down because they can and because they think they're fighting for justice of something, which I don't understand how that actually solves anything. But let's talk about the reasonable millennials. You and I've always been accused of, even being a millennial, that not really being in touch with millennialism. I'm not very hip or retro or cool. So I don't know what the big issues are to drive the millennial generation to the polls. Is it, as you mentioned before, the riots and the protesting and the safety? But outside of that, if it were a normal year without COVID, without that, I mean, do we still care about the Second Amendment? Does national debt still mean anything to anybody nowadays? Or are those issues kind of gone to the wayside for more of the current events and kind of just the topic of the day?
Yeah, I'm afraid national debt's going to be a big challenge for us. We got to recover some ground. I think the Americans have grown with greater in their expectations of government assistance in the times of tragedy. And, this COVID situation only exacerbated that, to your point at the very beginning of the show. What I found in my conversation with millennials, there are several things that really awaken them and make them recognize that who you vote for really matters. And in the 7 stories that I got into in Wood County, there were different issues that each of those voters really cared about. And in most cases, it was because somebody cared about them enough to step into their life and point out, hey, this issue really matters. In one case, it was a pro-life voter. She was for abortion and then saw what happened with Planned Parenthood, had children of her own, and became pro-life. So the life issue is a big one. I actually say, Andy, this is something I note in Bellwether Blues, but I think that the pro-life argument, the apologetic of the pro-life, is like the Underground Railroad from moving from liberalism or leftism to conservatism. Once somebody votes pro-life, they're pretty much set on every other issue because they have a different frame of reference as to how they view the ballot box. But that's just one issue, and not all millennials are there yet. So what I've found is there's 2 common threads that stick together with the rest of the issues that these millennials seem to hold, and one of them is freedom. Millennials really value freedom. In spite of what's said about the millennials loving socialism, I think a lot of that has to do with poor education and the lack of knowledge of history. That doesn't mean that they don't value freedom. I think they do, and especially in a libertarian sense. And especially since we've become conservatives and Republicans, the party that values and stands for freedom, stands for the First Amendment, the ability to speak your mind and to defend what you have to say to the death, even if I disagree with it. That's a huge issue that will mobilize a lot of millennial voters as they live in cancel culture. So that's one thing that I think we really need to stand upon. And the second thing is compassion. Anytime you can demonstrate how a policy position is compassionate, how it helps the least of these, the millennials are a cause-based generation, a cause-driven generation. You can tie those things together. I think you got a powerful message that will awaken their votes.
John, you blow my mind, my friend. The right to life issue I never thought would be a big one, because I always hear, of course, from the millennials that we're more libertarian on that, and we like more individual choices one way or the other. And we don't like government telling us what to do. That's what we hear every day. But you're right. If they end up voting one way and change their mind on that one, then it's a big game changer, I think, for them in their personal lives. Make sure to check it out. Bellwether Blues, BellwetherBluesBook.com on Facebook. Bellwether Book, if I can speak. Also on Twitter at John Jakubowski. John, it's always good to talk to you, my friend. We got to get you back on again here real soon.
Would love it, Andy. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. I'm going to be a regular on the show here real soon as we continue to talk about these and go into the general election. We got lots more coming up here on the show. Don't go anywhere.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, you are. Welcome back into it on a Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with us. Radio, TV, live streaming all over the place online at HooserReason.com, which, by the way, Friday morning is when our monthly newsletter is going to be going out. If you're a Hoosierholic. If you're not a Hoosierholic, the heck's wrong with you, man? Go to HooserReason.com. Make sure to sign up. You'll have the big pop-up thing show up as soon as you get on there. You can type in your email. You can subscribe. It's totally free. We don't spam you with a whole bunch of garbage. We just send you a monthly newsletter talking about topical issues, talking about our blog of the month, holidays for the month, civic holidays of the month, and a few other things. What the latest is with the show, guests that are coming on the program, the Hooser Media Network, and the latest and greatest going on with the network as well. Don't miss it. It's the Hoosierholic, if you are a Hoosierholic. Newsletter. Just go to HooserReason.com and sign up. It's super awesome. You can also, while you're there, find all the podcasts. You can find special features of the show. You can find guest information, all that jazz. So just go to HooserReason.com. Walk with me for just a second here, shall we? There's a headline from the Wall Street Journal. New virus cases are below summer peaks as concerns rise about testing declines. Oh, my. Testing on the decline. Why? Well, I don't know that we necessarily need it. Now, there's also a headline that said that Trump has a vaccine that he's starting to produce. I don't know where we're at with the vaccine, and even if there is one, I don't know that I would necessarily get it. The question is, why do we need one? Why do we shut it down? Has it been so political, or are you still on the wagon of, I'm very terrified of this? I'm getting, as we go along with this, I'm getting more and more to the point where I just don't care anymore. I really don't. We have, quote unquote, hundreds of thousands of people that have gotten the virus. We've had, according to the CDC, 187 plus thousand people that have died from the virus. But then they come out with the report that we said a couple of days ago, where only 6% of them were solely because of the virus. All the other ones, the 2/3 and then some, talk about dying from the virus because they had 2 or 3 prior ailments that the virus just exacerbated and made worse, and then they passed away because of those. So it wasn't necessarily because of the virus. It was because they had other illnesses that they couldn't recover from, and the virus was just on top of it. You get hit by a bus and you had the virus, even though you may be asymptomatic, they're counting it as a COVID-19 death. So if you only look at the 6% of the 187,000 plus people that actually passed away from this, you're looking at roughly 10,000 people in the nation that have died from the virus solely. Now, if you remember, there were 12 to 13,000 people that died from H1N1, with over 60 million people that contracted the H1N1 virus during Barack Obama's time. Did we shut down an economy for that? Don't think so. Don't think we did. Joe, what do you think?
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. It's when you think about it.
You got to think about it, man. Just think about it. It makes sense. Total sense. That's the virus. You just got to think about it. Now, the reason I bring this up, because I'm sure people are tired of talking about this, is because at the same time, now we're going into school season. We see universities beginning to open up. We see high school, K through 12, beginning to reopen up. Many of them going virtual. My little voice of reason, she's doing virtual. First grade, and she's doing virtual classes. Now, try and get a bunch of 6- and 7-year-olds to pay attention to a computer screen with their teachers trying to tell them something. See how well that one works. Today was the first day of school, and talking to Mrs. Voice of Reason today didn't seem like it went that smoothly because we're terrified of the virus. Colleges are opening up, but most universities are not allowing any kind of parties, any kind of get-togethers. You have an organization that you work with, or you're part of an organization on campus, can't do mass gatherings, can't have any parties. The largest outbreak of the virus so far at universities already have been the fraternity and sorority houses, because they're congregated close together. And now universities are doing ridiculous things like spending massive amounts of money for different temperature tech gauges, testing everybody that comes on campus. Kansas State University here in Kansas, I think, had announced something about some type of device that actually scans people based on their virus, or if they're quarantined, or scans their temperature as they walk in. They're spending massive amounts of money. Where is this money coming from? At the end of the day, we're panicky over something that I don't think is necessarily something to panic about. And now colleges are telling college students to snitch on the other ones if they hold parties, because they may be off campus. It may be at a college house. And even though 5 of them may be together, they bring over a few friends, they have a college party. And now we're going to spread the virus. And by the way, we're probably not going to spread it until after 10 o'clock at night when you have the drink, because that's why we shut down bars and nightclubs, because you're not going to get the virus unless you're out at a nightclub past 11 o'clock at night. Then all of a sudden you're getting the virus. Before that, you're going to be fine. You'll be fine. You can hang out there till 9 o'clock at night and you'll be totally virus-free. This is how stupid we've gotten with this thing, at least in my opinion. So now the universities are asking, and the headline from DNYUZ.com, college students told to report COVID parties to snitch or not to snitch. That is the question. Which I don't think they're going to. Of course they're not. I've already heard about college parties going on university grounds when they're not supposed to be doing so. But we spend massive amounts of money, which we're getting, Andy, come on, they're grants from the federal government. It's not like it's coming out of our actual taxpayer money. Oh, really? Really? Okay. Where does the money get there, or where does the government get their money? Because I'm pretty sure that comes out of our pockets at the end of the day by default. And when we see headlines from the Wall Street Journal like debt is set to exceed the size of the entire economy for the year, which is the first time it's happened since World War II, I think we're spending massive amounts of money. Now, of course, they're going to blame President Donald Trump on this. It's all Donald Trump's fault. He's the one. Oh, those big Republicans, they say that they're for conservative values, but you got to look at all that money they're spending, right? That economy that Trump hails, look at how bad that crashed during this whole virus thing. That could have been avoided. They crashed the economy by forcing him to shut down the economy. We spend over $3 trillion on a stimulus package. We spend more money on talking about trying to create another stimulus package, which we could get here in the next couple of months if they got their stuff together, which I don't know that we need to or not. But they're talking about it, spending more money, and then they blame Trump for exceeding the size of the economy with the national debt because we just spent $3 trillion. By the way, that $3 trillion outside of our national or of our annual budget, which what's an annual budget, the federal government anymore? Let's be honest, right? The annual budget's really like, here's the mandatory spending for all the nice little cute social programs we have. Here's the discretionary spending that we haggle over all the time that we don't even do 12 different appropriation bills for any longer. We just do in a lump sum omnibus bill that Barack Obama started a few years back. We just passed that one. We get all our nice little pet projects. Then, oh my gosh, look at that, an emergency. We should do one on top of that too. That's really about the size of everything else that we spend all combined together. So why? Why is this important? Because now we have schools opening. And by the way, here's my theory with that too. They do virtual, some of them trying to bring kids to school. I'm not talking campuses anymore. I'm talking K through 12. They go to school. By October-ish, they're going to say, oh, look at that. Students are getting it. Now, they're asymptomatic. Like less than 0.5% of kids actually get sick from this thing. But they get asymptomatic. They test positive, they get the high temperature, whatever it is. They say, look at that virus spreading at schools. By October, they shut down the schools. Do you know what happens in October, the same time during the school districts? They get paid from the state governments for their school districts for their funding for the year. So while we have the money coming into the school districts, doing virtual or doing in class, they're going to say, nope, it's too dangerous. It's too risky. We're seeing an increase. We were on the downtrend before y'all wanted to start sending your kids back to school. Better shut it down. Better shut the schools down. They got their money. They got more money, by the way, too, across the nation because they got some of the CARES funding acts for PPE, for the hand sanitizer, for the gloves, for the masks, for additional sanitizing equipment for many school districts to be able to go in and sanitize the classrooms. Probably they got a whole bunch of those dividers so that way the kids don't sneeze on each other, which you're going to do that anyways. Come on, man. Do you really think that's going to change anything? They got so much more money additional from what they usually get to try and keep the kids safe. So, by the way, they can get paid by October. And then by end of October, we end up closing down the schools because it's really, really bad. It may change. We may see a quote-unquote vaccine, which I don't think I'm going to take, and I don't know anybody else that's going to take it either, but it could be there. I don't know what to do next. I really don't. How do we continue to open things up when we see quote-unquote more cases? And they're asymptomatic, but they're more cases, so we spend more money while we continue to shut them down. The school districts walk away with their closed schools with a you-know-what ton of money, which is our taxpayer money. We spend more at the federal level for more stimulus. That's above what we're already spending for an entire U.S. economy. The entire GDP has gone out to debt that we've spent in this entire nation. It's gone. Poof, your tax money's gone. This is why we need to re-elect Donald Trump. But Andy, Donald Trump did it. No. Democrats forced him to shut down the economy. Democrats forced him to actually hand out a massive stimulus. If you remember, all the way back when he wanted to do something, but nothing as drastic as what we did. And even they can then complain, look at all these socialist nations across the world that actually hand out monthly incomes and guaranteed incomes and the free health care. And now it's the big push for the socialist programs. If Democrats get in, if they control the House, if they control the Senate, and if they get the presidency, can you imagine what they're going to do? Stimulus out the wahoo. Mandatory guaranteed incomes like the whole Andrew Yang plan, but times whatever else. Mandatory health care. Government health care increases because we're a sick nation during a global virus pandemic. We need more money into health care. It is already at statewide levels all across the country already giving them the excuse to try and push for these socialist programs at the state level, saying we're in this pandemic and we need to help out more. If they take control of the federal government, we can't afford it. We're already spending more than the entire GDP for the entire year, and it's already gone. Imagine what we do if we created these social programs now at the time when we need to cut spending, start whittling down some of the national debt, actually lower taxes so we can boost the economy again like Trump did the first time he got into office, and the economy soared, and the stock market soared, and we actually grew and actually did positive things, unlike during the Barack Obama era. If we could actually grow it again, we'd be fine. But if they do it, more taxes, killing off corporations and businesses, more government spending, it'd be done for. We couldn't come back from it. We already can't come back from what we're doing. Maybe we can salvage a little bit of it, though. Got to take a break. One more segment here on The Voice of Reason. Lots more coming up. Don't go anywhere on a Wednesday.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into it. Wrapping up the show today on a Wednesday. We have a heck of a lot coming up for you in the next few days as well, so you're not going to miss any of it. Plus, next week on September 11th, it is a Friday, we'll be doing a special commemoration on the show as we do every single year because it's a very important time, and I think people are beginning to forget. People are beginning to get numb to it, and we don't want that to happen, so we'll do our commemoration because this is the most patriotic show on radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting in America. So welcome back into the Voice of Reason, wherever you may be on all of that. Joe Biden, how you doing, buddy?
I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts.
All right. Good to know. Good to know. Welcome back into the show. An interesting point was brought up on the live stream. What's happening to the database of all the people getting tested and testing positive with the database collection? That's an interesting point. We haven't really discussed that lately, but it is a concern, isn't it? If they're testing you, they're getting your information. Then, of course, if you test positive, they're doing the quote-unquote contact tracing with the positive information and looking at you and looking at all your friends and looking at where you go to work and tracing everywhere you go so that way you can notify them. They all want that contact tracing. Now, some states it's really bad. Luckily, here in Kansas, we passed a law with our state legislature with some privacy laws saying that you don't have to provide that information to the health department if you choose not to do so because you're concerned about privacy issues, which I think is a very good thing. But not very many states have that. With many states, they'll track your phone, they'll track wherever else, and they don't have to even tell you, or they have to ask you and you have to tell them in order for them to do the contact tracing, which I think, talking with our guest earlier in the show, I think that for the millennial generation, one of the biggest issues for us is privacy. Just leave us alone. Let us do our thing. If you want to talk about the more libertarian aspect to certain issues when it comes to social media, when it comes to, which is weird because we're all about social media, but we want our privacy as well. But when it comes to the social issues, when it comes to financial issues, when it comes to personal issues, just leave me alone. Let me do my thing, which I try and say all the time. The conservative movement has got to be the millennials that are the more libertarian flavor, the tattoo parlor-esque ones, the rocker ones, the ones that are just like, leave me alone, let me do my thing, don't mess with me, man. That's got to be the new face of the conservative movement. It can no longer be just the quote-unquote old white guy, which isn't true anyways, but that's what they try and claim it off to be. But if we're going to rise up and actually have a new face for the millennials, it's got to be, in my opinion, it's going to be the ones that have the gauge earrings, which I think are ridiculous. But that's just me personally. I would never get one. I don't know, though. Maybe. That's a joke. Come on, guys. That's called a joke. But the ones with the gauge earrings, the tattooed up all over the place, that just say, leave me alone. I'm doing my own thing. I'm expressing myself in my own way. That is going to be the face of the conservative message. I guarantee me, mark my words on that one. Because we're going to see that transition in that more libertarian, leave me alone, you do your thing, I do my thing, is going to be it. And privacy is going to be a major issue because as we've dove so deep into the social media aspect and we realize that we no longer have any privacy, that we see marketing on our TVs and on our phones and on our iPads and on everything else because of what we view, what we look at, who we talk to, and what we talk about on our phones, we're beginning to get concerned about privacy, and the pendulum's going to swing back the other way. And I think that contact tracing is going to be another one of those where we're like, wait a second. I mean, what are we talking about now? Which is crazy. We've talked about it with psychologists on the show a couple weeks ago, was the new neuro brain chip that Elon Musk is now getting humans to test out. Think about that for a second. We have a brain chip that's being implanted into our brain, and he said it's going to be able to solve a lot of neurological issues, a lot of disabilities that people have, different senses. If you've gone blind, if you have any type of spinal injuries, it'll be able to fix a lot of those things, which is great, which is really cool. However, look at the culture that we're in right now. We have the cancel culture. If we don't like something that you say or do, then we're going to cancel you. If you just are a certain mindset or a political ideology, you're automatically a racist, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, you're a xenophobe, you're whatever else that the left wants to call you just because of your ideals. If you have a chip in your brain and you can download information from your brain onto a computer, which is what Elon Musk is literally trying to do right now. He's created it. He's built it. He's testing it on human beings as we speak. I was actually watching his hour-long speech trying to get people to actually go into these human trials just today that he did like a day or two ago. It's happening right now. If you can download things, who says you can't upload things telling you how to think? Telling you what to think. Because you're of the old mindset. You're of the traditionalist mindset. You're a racist. You're a bigot. We're going to change your thought process. We're going to do it mechanically. Privacy is going to be a major issue I think a lot of people are finally going to start to pay attention to, and that might be driving a lot of the young generation to the polls in the November election of 2020. That does it for us today. This is the Voice of Reason. Make sure to be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is the Voice of Reason podcast going up a little bit. Make sure to tune in for the next few days as we have some awesome stuff to talk about. Until then, everybody have a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn